Time really flies by. Last year, the world stood still as weird things continued to happen everywhere, but at Apple HQ, they had some big plans. Introducing the iPhone 13 Pro, with better battery than our iPhone 12 Pro from last year. The world went crazy. But what is so special about the 13 Pro series of iPhones, and is it still a good purchase in 2022 while sitting in the shadows of the 14 Pros? What's up, humans? I'm Jonathan from Jopatech, and if you haven't already, a sub to the channel would be super appreciated. Now, let's get into my review of the Apple iPhone 13 Pro in 2022. Weighing in at 204 grams and sporting a 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR OLED 120Hz screen, the iPhone 13 Pro is a treat to hold in the hand and in the pocket compared to the Pro Max. The display is smooth with deep blacks and excellent contrast, making supported videos and games look amazing. Its sultry stainless steel sides seem so smooth compared to the aluminum you find on the peasant model iPhone 13. Although pretty much all of the dimensions of the Pro are the same as the regular 13, aside from its slight weight problem. Under the hood, the phone is powered by Apple's own A15 Bionic chip paired with 6GB of RAM and 3095 mAh lithium-ion battery. Storage options are 128GB, 256GB, which is this model, 512, and 1TB. The phone also supports up to Wi-Fi 6, Bluetooth 5.0, NFC, is IP68 dust and water resistant up to 6 meters for 30 minutes, and is 5G capable. The Pro can be charged via USB-C to Lightning at up to 23 watts, getting you from 0 to around 60% in 30 minutes. You can also charge the phone via Qi Wireless at 7.5 watts or via MagSafe at 15 watts. I personally haven't used a MagSafe charger because I don't have one, but again, I'm not a super heavy user, so charging my phone slowly overnight is totally cool. Although plugging it into my MacBook charger, which is 30 watts, got me from 5 to 50% in about 20 minutes when I really needed to get out of the house. Okay, here we go again with the hardware. Silent switch, volume up and down, SIM tray. Power button. Speaker, lightning port, microphone. Nothing. Face ID, selfie cam, proximity sensor. Cameras, whoa, 3 cameras? Dual tone LED and a LiDAR scanner? Well, nothing new, but pretty new to me. Wait a sec. Let's go back to the front. Is that a smaller notch by like 20% compared to the previous iPhone models? Well, would you look at that? Instead of big and ugly, you just get ugly. Anyway, let's talk about these cameras. On the rear, you have 3 12-megapixel cameras. One main wide with sensor shift, one telephoto with 3 times optical zoom, and one ultra wide at 120 degrees. You also have that LiDAR scanner to help with depth. You can shoot 4K up to 60 frames per second, 1080p up to 240 frames per second, HDR, Dolby Vision HDR up to 60 frames per second, and cinematic mode with ProRes at 4K up to 30 frames per second. These all sound nice, but to the normal, everyday consumer, this just means things can look really fancy and pretty when you snap a picture or record a video. ProRes in cinematic mode is a very nice option and things look clear and smooth in recorded videos. Has that Hollywood kind of feel. You know it's working overtime when the phone gets hot and battery life starts to take a hit pretty quickly. Not to mention the file size will grow rapidly with every second of recording, so opting for the 256GB or more of storage is a wise option if you plan to shoot lots of videos in cinematic mode with ProRes. If you have the 128GB model, you max out at 1080p at 30 frames per second with ProRes. As you can see, the photo and video samples all look really good. Pictures come out nice and full of color. Even the front selfie cam takes nice photos and videos with a 12-megapixel lens and up to 4K 60 frames per second. If cameras are important to you, then you can't go wrong with the 13 Pro. Now enjoy these samples. For the 13 series of iPhones, Apple improved the battery life drastically over the 12 Pros. We all know the 13 Pro Max has a stellar battery life, so how does the regular 13 Pro stack up? Well, the regular iPhone 13 comes with a bigger battery than the 13 Pro, which might seem confusing, and to be honest, it kinda is. Maybe Apple made their statement and I just wasn't paying attention. Anyway, the 13 Pro is fitted with a 3095 mAh lithium-ion battery, which should easily get you a full day of moderate to heavy use. For most of the week, I am at work and my hands are dirty or buried in something. A few times this past 2 weeks, I used the phone more than usual. Lots of music and video streaming over Wi-Fi and cellular, both with maxed out quality settings. I would play Asphalt 9 for about an hour or so just to push the GPU. Add in a hefty amount of social browsing and surfing the web, wow, that makes me sound old, and screen brightness at 100%, and I ended those days off with around 10% battery life. Not bad at all considering the strain I put on the phone. On my normal work days where the phone sits idle mostly, I can end the day off between 60 to 70% battery. This is good if you're not a heavy user and forgot to plug in your phone overnight. So you might be asking yourself if this is a worthwhile upgrade. Well, yes and no, depending on where you're coming from. If you're moving over from a flagship Android phone with great features but don't want to spend a fortune on the 14 Pros, I would say yes. The 13 Pro still can be purchased new through carriers here in Canada, or you can check online classifieds to try and snag a deal on a used one. You know the cameras are great, the 120Hz screen is smoother than a piglet's ass covered in silk, the battery life is very good, and the size and feel of the phone fits nicely in the hand, even with a case on it. Where the 13 Pro is not a worthwhile upgrade is if you're like me, broke and just an average phone user. Using an iPhone 11 as my daily driver and how I use it is enough to tell me to hold off on upgrading. I like to tell anyone asking about iPhones that these things will last over 6 years, so you don't need to have the latest and greatest every passing year. Sure, it is a big leap in camera tech, but honestly, for most people who like to point and shoot and not be glued to their phone, an iPhone 11 will suffice. Or even the peasant iPhone 13 model if you absolutely need to upgrade. Thank you everyone for tuning into my review of the iPhone 13 Pro in 2022. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Are you rocking a 13 Pro or Pro Max? How do you like it? Comment down below and let's get chatting. I'm Jonathan from Jopatech and I will see you all in the next video. Peace. For the 13 series of phones, Apple improved their battery